She doesn't know why she craves chaos, why she sabotages love the moment it feels safe, why she flirts with destruction while claiming she wants peace. But you, the man, you'll suffer for taking her at her word. Because beneath the cultivated smiles and curated trauma lies a biological machine older than morality itself. Not evil, just indifferent. Not cruel, just automatic. She doesn't choose to manipulate. She is manipulation, wearing the mask of innocence. Freud said it best: most women do not want the truth. They want reassurance. And Schopenhauer reminded us, desire has no ethics. It only wants, even if what it wants is to be destroyed, just to feel something real. So here's the forbidden question. What if her greatest power lies not in what she chooses, but in what she can't help? The need to be worshipped, the hunger for emotional leverage, the seduction of being both victim and queen. You were taught to see her as a mystery, but mystery is just the name we give to instincts we're not brave enough to confront. No. She doesn't understand herself, but that won't stop her from tearing you apart and smiling as if you were the one who broke everything. This topic cannot be ignored because you've already lived it. You just didn't have the words to name it. You called it heartbreak. You called her confused. You told yourself she was just emotional. But what if those were lies you told yourself to survive something deeper, something darker? Every man who's loved a woman who didn't love him back knows this riddle. How can someone be so gentle one moment and so cold the next? How can she sob in your arms, then ghost you like you never existed? Modern psychology wants to dress this up with labels, attachment styles, trauma, daddy issues. But those are just euphemisms. Soft language to protect fragile egos from ancient truths. The truth is this. There are parts of the female psyche that are not rational, not moral, and not under conscious control. And to speak them aloud is considered misogyny. But if you dare to look closely, you'll see something horrifying. That her instinct for power isn't an anomaly, it's her programming. That her tears aren't always a cry for help. Sometimes they're currency. That her tenderness is often transactional, a performance in the theater of leverage. This isn't an attack. It's a diagnosis. One based, not in hate, but in cold clarity. And once you see it, you won't unsee it. You'll notice how every woman you've ever loved fit the same shape. Not because they're evil, but because evolution doesn't care about fairness, only results. Say you want truth? Then take a deep breath, because what comes next will rip the fantasy out of you. Vein by vein. He met her on Instagram. That's how it always begins now. A DM, a like, a moment of attention mistaken for fate. She was beautiful in the way every man is trained to crave. Soft smile, soft voice, soft curves. But what caught him wasn't her beauty. It was the way she looked at him like he mattered. And he, like so many before him, projected depth where there was only reflection. He told her about his dreams, his trauma, his guilt, and she listened like no one else ever had. For a while, she made him feel like a king. Then, subtly, slowly, she disappeared. Not physically. She was still there, but her warmth became mood swings. Her compliments became criticisms. Her presence became negotiation. Why don't you try harder? You used to be more confident. Maybe I just need space. By the time she said, I don't feel it anymore, he was already a shell. Sleep-deprived, obsessive, worshipping the ghost of a woman who had never truly existed. Now here's the truth no man wants to accept. She didn't betray him. She simply followed the script written inside her. The same script Freud tried to decode and Schopenhauer tried to escape. A primal, unconscious strategy not to love, but to provoke love. Not to give devotion, but to extract it. Because female desire, at its rawest, isn't about connection. It's about being wanted without ever surrendering. We're told women are victims of manipulation. But the darker reality? They are its most natural architects. not consciously, not with malice, but biologically. In the same way a spider doesn't hate the fly, she feeds on meaning, on the illusion of intimacy, on the slow erosion of a man who dares to need her more than she needs herself. Her validation wasn't love. It was bait. Her silence wasn't confusion. It was calculation, and the kind that doesn't need thinking, because it is instinct. And before you accuse this of misogyny, ask yourself this. Why is it deep when a man self-destructs over love, but toxic to suggest she never felt the same? Why is his obsession a pathology, but her emotional detachment just a phase? You see, he didn't fall in love with her. He fell in love with the way she let him feel about himself. And once that stopped serving her emotional economy, she withdrew. Just like that. And if you still think this is just one bad woman, let me leave you with this. Every time she's bored, she opens her messages and checks who's still waiting. Not because she wants them, but because she wants to know they're still there. Still orbiting. Still useful. It's not evil. It's survival. And if you're a man who still believes in unconditional female love, ask yourself, what does she love more? You, or the version of herself reflected in your eyes? 6 months after she left, he saw her again. Not by accident. He'd been watching her stories. She posted a photo in a restaurant. He knew the place. He showed up. Same smile. Same laugh. But something was different. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't cold. She was glowing. She introduced him to the guy next to her. Some crypto bro with a Rolex and zero self-awareness. He watched as she leaned into this new man, the same way she once leaned into him. He recognized every move. The giggle, the hand on the arm, the way she tilted her head when she said, "You're so bad." That was his line. He walked away humiliated. Not because she'd moved on, but because he realized he was never unique. What he thought was chemistry was choreography, a ritual she repeated with anyone who could play the role. Let's be honest, she doesn't love men. She loves what being desired by men does to her. And that's the unspeakable truth that breaks most men. Not the heartbreak, but the repetition. How quickly she resets. How effortlessly she copies and pastes the script onto the next target. Meanwhile, he's still bleeding, still replaying every moment, still wondering what he did wrong. But he didn't do anything wrong. He just stopped being useful. And the modern world gave her permission. No encouragement to exit without guilt. We told her she's a queen, that she owes nothing, that if it doesn't serve you, leave. And so she does, over and over again. Here's the dark irony. When women were disempowered, they needed to choose carefully. But now that they have full agency, many don't choose at all. They sample. They discard. And the chaos isn't a glitch. It's the feature. Because freedom without responsibility is just destruction in slow motion. And now, she's posting healing quotes, claiming, "I just wasn't in the right space," calling him emotionally unstable to her followers. The same man who once held her while she cried over her father's betrayal. She didn't destroy him on purpose. She just did what felt true in the moment. And that's the scariest part of all. Modern women are not villains. They are untethered gods in a world without moral gravity. No consequence. No shame. No memory of the men they've hollowed out and discarded like packaging. And when you try to call it out, you're labeled bitter, misogynistic, insecure. But what if your pain is not a symptom of weakness, but evidence of perception? What if the real delusion is believing that love is still sacred in a world where attention is monetized and validation is a drug? She didn't ghost you. She recycled you. She didn't fall out of love. She optimized her options. And the next man? He's already halfway through the same story. He just hasn't reached the part where she says, "I don't feel it anymore." But she will, because that's the part she can't control. Here's the paradox no one dares to touch. She doesn't want what she gets. She wants what gets away. The more you love her, the less she feels. The more you sacrifice, the more she recoils. And the second you become emotionally predictable, she gets bored. You thought love was about honesty, loyalty, warmth. But her instinct doesn't respond to those things the way yours does. It responds to tension, to challenge, to the threat of abandonment, not the promise of safety. This isn't cruelty. It's evolution. She is wired to desire the man who can hurt her, but doesn't treat as dissection, not the man who can't hurt her at all. Because that man, the soft, stable, endlessly supportive one, triggers no urgency, no passion, no obsession. In other words, good men make her feel safe, but bad men make her feel. And that's what she truly craves. To feel something real, even if it means pain, even if it leads to collapse. You can be perfect. You can give her the world. But if she senses you'll never walk away, you've already lost. Because her desire doesn't orbit love. It orbits loss. Not consciously, not logically, but chemically, psychologically, primally. She doesn't know why she leaves. She just knows she must. Because the moment she feels fully possessed, the fantasy dies. And if she has to choose between security and desire, she will burn the house down for the thrill of the flame. So what's the final truth? You were never meant to keep her, only to awaken her, and then be forgotten. She'll move on. She'll reinvent the story. She'll remember herself as the victim, and you as the lesson. And you'll either become bitter, or you'll become aware. You were taught that love is sacred, that women are nurturing, that if you just show up with enough honesty, loyalty, and emotional depth, she'll stay. But no one warned you about this, about the emptiness behind her warmth, the performance behind her pain, the way she'll rewrite history and make you the villain in the story she tells next. This isn't a call to hate women. It's a call to stop hallucinating them, to see them as they are, not as you need them to be. Because until you confront the brutal reality of her psyche, the parts even she can't control, you'll keep loving illusions, and those illusions will kill you slowly. She didn't betray you. She became herself. And the tragedy is this. You loved her most when she was pretending. Now she's gone, and you're still searching for the mask. You want peace? Then stop worshiping the feminine. Start studying it. You hate this? Or you're just afraid it's true?